Hello. In this program, we are going to focus on the grade 5 math coding expectation that relates to conditional statements and then the previous learning from the grade 4 curriculum being able to tie in nested events as well. So this is just a quick example right now. Basically having two sprites within the Scratch environment and then just asking for a choice between one or the other. So in this illustration, I have a cake and I have a taco, and the idea is to ask the user, what do you prefer, taco or cake? So let me just click the green flag. Let me maximize the screen. I'll click the green flag and walk you through it, and then we will show you how to build this code. Click the green flag and it asks you the question, cake or taco, and on the bottom we just type in our response. So if my response is taco, I type that in, press the enter key, and you can see I have a taco that is all of a sudden doing something fancy and animating across the screen. If I try it again, click the green flag, same question, cake or taco. This time I'm going to choose cake, press the enter key, and now the taco is gone and the cake does a fancy little animation. So that's the idea. We are going to talk about using conditional statements and nested events, and as an example, having two sprites in your Scratch page and providing options. So let me click create. We will open up a new page. So the first thing I am going to do right now is I have my brand new Scratch page. I'm going to get rid of the cat. I don't need a backdrop for this. I'm just going to focus on the sprites. And I'm just going to, I might as well use the same two options that I just had. So let me find the cake. There we go. I have a cake. I'm going to place the cake somewhere, anywhere on the screen. It really could go anywhere. I'm just going to put it right here. Now I'm going to add a second sprite. So I come down here where it says choose a sprite. And now I am looking for the taco. So I scroll down, there it is. I click taco, and again I just click and drag and I will place the taco wherever on the screen it is that I want. If I want those sprites to always go to the same place on the screen each and every time, then it's important to code it. Code the sprites to go where you want them to go. So right now you can see I'm going to code the cake first. So actually, I might as well do the taco first, because there we are. The taco is first, so you can see it's highlighted. So this means I am coding the taco. There's also a picture right here of the taco. So if you ever have more than one sprite on the go, it's a good idea to always double check and make sure which one you are actually coding. I will move to my yellow events flag, grab the green flag. So that means that's going to be my launching coding block to initiate the code. So when the green flag is clicked, what do I want to have happen? Well, I always want the taco to go to this area on the screen. So I go to my blue coding motion block, and we've mentioned this in other coding videos too that we are using. The go to XY block is very important, because location of the sprites anywhere on this stage is always dictated based on the X and Y coordinate values of where that sprite is located. So even though we don't have a coordinate grid as our background, there's an invisible coordinate grid right now that shows the XY value of every single sprite that you put on the page. So right now, if I set the XY value, you can see they are automatically set to X3 and Y negative 68. That's the location that this taco is at right now. So that means even if I drag the taco anywhere else on the page, the moment I click this green flag, the taco automatically goes right back there. So I'm going to do the same thing with the cake before I forget it. Let me just go to my yellow events. Now that I'm coding the cake, I'll go back to my blue motion block and grab the XY that is automatically set. So again, if I take the cake and put it anywhere else on the screen, as soon as I click the green flag, it should automatically go to these coordinates, just like that. Okay, so that's how you set your originating location. The other thing I want to do is make sure that I set my direction properly and the orientation of the sprites so that they don't get flipped and turned around. Here's what I mean by that. Under the blue motion block, we have another block that says point in direction. By default, it says point in direction 90. If I click the little circle, it gives me a built-in directional compass that shows you the direction that sprite is located and pointing. Here's what that means. Right now, the taco, you could see the shell and all of the toppings are pointing upward. If I change the direction, let's say I take the arrow and I point it this way, now I click the green flag, watch what happens to the taco. You could see it is now flipped. That's not what I want. If that's what I'm looking for in this project, then sure, that's okay. but I want it to be turned away the other direction, just like that. So that just gives you an idea of what that point and direction block can do. The other thing I'm looking to do is set up the conditions right now to be able to ask a question. So I'm looking for a question. What do you prefer, cake or taco? So to do that, I'm going to talk about a new coding block that we haven't spent much time on before, is this blue sensing block. If I click that, it gives me the option to ask a question. So I'm going to add that to my coding block. And again, because this is block coding, they basically act like puzzle pieces that snap together. I'm going to ask, what do you prefer, cake or taco? And wait. So now when I click the green flag, you can see that that initiates the question. What do you prefer, cake or taco? And then the user who's running the program would just type in their answer here. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to show you two versions of this program. One with just a basic, you answer the question, whichever one you pick, whether it's the taco or the cake, whatever option you choose, that will stay on the screen, and the other one that you do not choose, it will disappear and hide. I'll show you that first, and then version 2, I'll show you how to, whichever one you select, it will do a little fancy animation and kind of dance across the page a little bit. So first with version 1, I'm going to come over here to my orange control block, and I'm going to grab 2 blocks and set them aside. One is going to be my repeat loop. I'll just drag that off to the side. My other is going to be my conditional statement, which is how we tie in our grade 5 curriculum. Now we have 2 options for conditional statements. We have an if-then statement, and we have an if-then-else statement. So 2 different ways to set conditions. The one I'm grabbing is if-then-else. That's basically saying that if a certain object happens, if something happens in the program, then a condition is going to be met. Otherwise, else, the else word, it means if the condition's not met, then something else is going to happen. So I'm just going to take this if-then-else statement, and to save myself some time, I'm going to put it inside the repeat block. The moment I do this, the moment I take an if-then conditional statement and put it inside a repeat loop, I am now creating a nested event, which is just a review of our grade 4 curriculum that we've talked about in other support videos. So now what am I looking for to happen? So if the answer is taco, then I'm looking for the cake to disappear. That's basically what I want to have happen. That if the user chooses taco, then show the taco, but I want the cake to disappear. So there's a couple of different ways I can do that. First way I'm going to model that, let me go to the green operators block over here, another one that we have not spent much time with. And I'm going to use a couple of different things. The first one is the operator that has the equal sign. I'm going to take that because anytime you ask a question, you are looking for an answer to that question. So I'm going to switch back to the blue motion block, or pardon me, the blue sensing block, and I'm going to grab the option that says answer. So I've asked the question, what do you prefer, cake or taco? So if the answer equals taco, so I just type in taco there, if the answer equals taco, then I want the cake to hide. I want the taco to still stay on the screen. So how do I get the cake to hide? So in order, while I'm programming the taco, to be able to get another sprite to actually hide, I'm going to throw another skill at you here, and that is called broadcasting. So if I switch back to, it will be the events, the yellow events block. And I have some broadcast options right down here where I'm hovering. I'm going to grab the one that says broadcast message 1, click the drop down and change it to a new message. Because what I want to have happen is that when you choose taco, I want it to broadcast a message to hide the cake. So the new message name is literally going to be hide cake. I click OK. I now have a broadcast coding block that says hide cake. So if the answer equals taco, then hide the cake. Else, in other words, if the answer is not taco, then what do you want the taco to do? You want it to hide. So if somebody chooses taco, we want the cake to hide. If you don't choose taco, then you want the taco to hide. So the hide block is under the purple looks block. And I go down to the bottom here, so I'm on purple looks, and I grab the hide block, and I put that in my else. So I'm going to join this section of the code right here. So when the green flag is clicked, the taco is automatically going to go to this part of the screen. It's going to be oriented in the correct direction because I've used my point and direction block. A question is going to be asked based on whatever I've coded here. And then, now I also have a repeat block here. The repeat actually isn't even really necessary at this point in this step. But what I will do is I'm going to need this for the next step when I do the animations. Let me grab the forever block right here. Because forever, as long as I'm running this program, I want these conditions to be met. This is still a conditional statement inside a forever loop, which is still a nested event. So now, let me switch back to my cake and just see what I've done. I have, so far, the only code I have is that when the green flag is clicked, it will go to those coordinates. I am also going to look for the same point and direction so that the cake does not get turned sideways or upside down. So I'm going to set the point and direction 90. And I also, because I have programmed the broadcast hide cake, if somebody chooses taco, hide cake, now I need to program the actual cake to hide if that happens. So if the cake needs to be hidden, now that I'm coding the cake, I go back to my broadcast, which is the yellow events, and I grab the option that says when I receive. When I receive hide cake, then I hide. So even though this does look a little bit confusing because we're talking about sensing, we're talking about operators, we're talking about broadcast messages, if we go back here and think about it logically, if you choose the taco, you want the cake to hide. So you're broadcasting hide cake. So the cake, as soon as it receives that message saying you need to hide, what does it do? It hides. So now I can run the program, click the green flag. What do you prefer, cake or taco? I choose taco. I click the enter key and the cake is now hidden and the taco is there. Now if I run it again and choose cake, let's try it. I choose cake this time and everything is gone. So it looks like there are still some tweaks that I need to make to my code in order to be able to make that work. So that's something that we could take a look at. One of the other things that we talk about in our curriculum is having students alter and fix existing code. So if this project, as is right now, was given to students at the grade 5 level, one of the tasks that you could possibly give to them is how can you fix the code so that if somebody chooses cake, that the cake stays on the screen and does not hide? And the answer to that question is when the green flag is clicked, what I could do is use the show block. I could add that to my code. Let's try that. So now, what do you prefer? Oh, the taco's gone because the taco has been hidden initially too. So when the green flag is clicked, I'm going to grab that same show block and add that. So again, what am I doing right now? I am altering and debugging existing code. So what do you prefer? Let me click that green flag. There we go. Both sprites are there. I choose cake, press enter, and the cake is there and the taco is gone. So again, by taking a look at my code, by making a couple of quick tweaks, by making sure that those sprites have a show block at the very beginning, I was able to fix that problem that I had a couple of minutes ago. Now, very quickly, how to take this and add an extra little layer to this activity. If you have already done previous lessons with your students on how to move sprites and how to use the costume block to animate sprites, something that you could do is do something fancy. So for example, if taco is the selection, how do you program the taco to do that fancy animation like when I did the first demonstration? So here's how you can make that happen. I'm going to take this out of the forever loop and put it back in a repeat loop just to start off. Oops, let's try that again. There we go. And in order to build my movements and animations for the taco, what I am going to do is I'm going to grab another repeat loop And I'll decide in another minute how many repeats I want this to do, but I need to start programming the movements. So again, if you've already taught this to your students, this next step or two is going to go fairly quick. But if you haven't done this, this is something where you might need to pause the video and watch it a few times over and over. In order to program the movements for the taco, I'm repeating my steps. I'm going to move 10 steps at a time, which is not very much in the Scratch world. Those are actually very small steps. I'm going to use a very small wait time because it's very important sometimes when you are doing movements to use a wait, even if it's a very, very small wait time, because it prevents the program from bugging or glitching. If I want this taco to animate, in other words, show that it's popping out the lettuce and the tomatoes and some other things, it looks like it has a couple of fancy movements to it. To animate a sprite, it needs to have multiple costumes. So if I go to my costumes block here, you can see that the taco has 2 different costumes. That means it will animate. Let me switch back to the code. So under the purple looks block, I grab next costume. I add that to my code within my repeat loop. And so right now, if I do that, I can, let's see, where do I want to put this? Again, if the answer is taco, then I want the cake to hide and I want the taco to start moving. So I'm going to put that inside my if-then statement right there. So let me just try this. What do you prefer? Let's say taco. I click enter, and you can see that that taco is now starting to animate and move across the screen by simply putting a repeat loop with the move, a brief wait block, and a next costume inside the repeat loop. How many times is it animating? It's animating 10 times, which means it's going off the screen. Maybe I don't want that. So what I could do is maybe change my repeats to 2 or 3. Run that again. I'll just quickly do this. I select taco, and I have a couple of different animations. And it should not move quite as far across the screen. But it is going to repeat 10 times. So maybe that's the repeat that I need to be changing there. So again, I'm taking a look, I'm running my code and asking myself, what do I need to change? In this case, there are too many repeats here, and it's still going off the page, and I could tweak it. So again, just a quick lesson that talks about conditional statements using an if-then or an if-then-else statement. And if you put that if-then or if-then-else inside a repeat or forever loop, you have also created a nested event. I hope this video has been helpful.